Ooh, that dirt's not going to help him as we got Espes, who has been saving fuel. Does he have enough to finish this lap going all out? Taking a look down the inside as he gets covered up. Oh, we're going to go 3 wide into the hairpin.
3 wide. Hawkin makes it stick on the right side. Better run for Williams on the left. Espes chooses the left as well. Hawkin now stuck side by side as Espes goes for a 3 wide move. Heading towards Cunningham. Espes bullies his way back up to the point. Williams with the preferred line. Hawkin makes it 3 wide again. Hawkin and Williams late break. Side by side still.
Tolanen's got one of the best runs we've seen from him yet, and this could be the overtake he's been looking for. He pulls up on him, staying to the inside. Partanen stays down low as they come towards the braking into 1 and 2. A little bit of a back off from Tolanen, even though he's good on the binders. Oh, but he shakes him off the racing line and pulls the over-under, and he gets past Partanen.
Gonna poke his nose to the inside, going down into turn 10. That sweeping right-hander. Oh, contact! Newhook gets the worst of it.
He tries to woe it up. Can he? He does keep it on course amazingly. I thought he was going to have to cut the chicane, but now look at all of them swamping side to side as there's a little bit of a brush into the right front fender of Newhook's car. Now a little bit of banging between himself and Cowgill, trying to hold on to it. They are getting rough out there. We still have 28 minutes to go.
Joe, that was almost 4 wide coming down into turn 1. I don't know if I've ever seen that much aggression here out of these MX-5s.
Under braking, who is the bravest here? More lap traffic in front of him. It looks like Reynolds goes a little bit deeper, but is it too deep? No, he gets ahead. Thomas O'Leary cannot hold him back. Blake Reynolds is back up to the point, fighting back now. It's going to come down through the stadium section, and the inside with Thomas O'Leary, the shorter line, and a spin from Blake Reynolds gives it up. Get one more good shot here, but passing into Rent. I don't know about that. Side by side in the last corners will be sketchy. Lap traffic staying out of the way. Hammer defends to the inside. Burns around the long way. And he's going to have to take to the runoff because there's a little bit of nudge between them. Comes back to the racetrack, but he's behind as Hammer exits the final corner. Hammer is going to take the win here at Austria.
Three rounds down and 3 different winners. So far, the Big C's MX-5 Challenge has been a tug-of-war affair in controlling the tempo of the pack and controlling who crosses the line first. Pablo Espes, Daniel Williams, and Brandon Hawkin have all found their way to victory lane so far this campaign. Now, as the focus shifts to Canada, the question remains simple. Who can break away from the pack? Let's find out. This is round 4 of season 6 of the Big C's MX-5 Challenge, live from iRacing's virtual Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Hello everyone and welcome to the Global SimRacing Channel's coverage from Bowmanville, Ontario. My name is Justin Prince. Alongside the booth is IMSA driver Michael W. Johnson. Behind the scenes is our director Ryan Bauer, and he is using cameras provided by the great Dougie Beard. Now today takes us to a unique and historic track in Mosport, a facility which has hosted everything from Formula 1 to NASCAR. 2 Canadians have won here in the past, with Hawkin taking the victory back in Season 2, while this year's Red Bull Ring Masters winner, Racine Fizui, also won here back in Season 3. Let's learn more about this track with our Gsrc track guide.
Welcome to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, or as most fans know it, Mosport. This circuit to the northeast of Toronto is a rarity in the world of racing today. Safety standards and the desire for more overtaking opportunities has caused most tracks to alter their layouts over the years. But Mosport is still exactly the same footprint as it was when it was built in 1961. A mere 11 turns, most of which are high-speed sweepers, are dispersed among 2.5 miles, or just shy of 4 kilometers. The only alterations to the turns have been to the runoff areas, but otherwise the radii, camber, and elevation changes are all untouched. Because cars have continued to get faster through the passage of time, it's made this place a fearsome beast to tackle. Clayton Corner is particularly notorious. The blind crest and steep plunge combined with incredibly high speeds to create a punishing combination. Without many heavy braking zones, passing is often difficult. And other than using the slipstream up the Mario Andretti Straight, the only other option is usually Moss Corner. This double apex hairpin is named after Sir Sterling Moss for his suggestion to redesign it after he saw its initial layout. While the plateau-like middle portion and critical exit onto the backstretch certainly give it plenty of character, the heavy compression at the bottom of the hill that causes a frighteningly short braking zone makes this one not for the faint of heart. Formula One, USAC, and IMSA have all taken their turns here, but recently NASCAR has joined the fray by holding a round for the Truck Series. Old school fans can rejoice for the enduring popularity of this bastion of untouched tarmac, but any motorsports enthusiast can't help but smile at the thrill Mosport continues to provide.
That was a look at our Gsrc track guide for Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Now, Michael, this could be one of the more pivotal races for the early stage of the season so far. What can you tell us about racing with these MX-5s here today?
This is one of those tracks that pretty much everybody loves. So many tracks are love it or hate it, but this is one that you have far more leaning to the love it side. Very close to about 2.5 miles, just under 4 kilometers, 10 turns, and every turn can bring heartache. There's something going on everywhere on this track.
It's going to be so intense to see some of the battles today here at this racetrack. Plenty of exciting moments have happened here in recent years in real-world racing action as well. But now it's a matter of seeing how today things fare out here in the virtual world. Speaking of how things have fared out, let's take a look at the driver's standings. And now it's worth noting that both the drop weeks are now being factored in. Pablo Espes, Brandon Hawken, and Daniel Williams have all finished in victory lane, hence why they're all tied with 30 points apiece. Cam Evans' best points finish has been with 20 total points. Caleb Hydes is currently in a tie for the 5th position with Jordan Bachmeier with 17 total points. And now that the drop weeks are being factored in, how do you feel this will affect some of the drivers knowing they may already be reaching the limit on their drops?
Well, you don't want to get those drops out of the way early. You want to save them for later. But with the way some of these races have gone, these really tight fought battles at especially the last lap, I think some of the drivers are thinking ahead and much further down the road instead of today's race. How's my season going to progress now that I've got a DNF or I've got a 6th place instead of 2nd place? So the drivers are really going to have to keep in mind what their plan is.
It's going to be intriguing how everyone plans to battle around this racetrack. As let's take a look at those race details, as it's the 4th round of the season, and the critical thing to keep in mind, 1st to 15th in point score, Michael.
Yeah, 1st through 15th are going to get points here today, and that's really important with those drop weeks. It's important also to note that this is round 4 out of 10, as you mentioned before. Those drop weeks are already taking play, so we'll have a little bit of a shakeup, I expect, at the end of this 40-minute race. Now, everyone is on a fixed setup. There is no choice of the driver what to do. They are all on the exact same setup and trying to push right up to that 20x limit, making those incident points work for them. If you're in a race like this, you can use those incident points, cut a corner a little bit, maybe hit a little bit of grass, maybe even a little side-to-side contact, but you don't want to do too much because you have only 20 points to use.
And to put it this way, we were watching along with some of the practice before going live. Some of the incidents were massive here today, to the point where you had tires flying across the racetrack. You don't want that happening during race conditions. Now, drivers are in the midst of qualifying. Let's take a look at the qualifying details presented by SHH Shifter. SHH Shifter uses only the best commercial plastics, create the high-quality 3D printed shifters you need to give it your all on the track. Their commitment to detail and durability ensures that you receive the perfect shifter. Find them on the web at www.shiftershh.com. So drivers are in the midst of 4 solo qualifying laps, 15 minutes to do so with strict qualifying scrutiny. So in our words, you go too slow, you try and do some stuff to warm up the tires, you will get caught. And qualifying has been also very important for all the races this season, but look at how the separation is this time. Compared to some of the other rounds where it's about 1 second all the way back to 20th, today, it's a bit more of a wider spread, especially from the pole down to second already. 0.2 the separation. Michael.
Sorry about that. If you notice these gaps right now, look at how tight it is as Brandon Hawkins comes sliding in there at 0.155 behind Follestad. These guys are really, really close. These gaps are tiny. When these guys get out onto the Andretti straight, you're going to see some amazing drafts and some wonderful opportunities coming into turn 8.
0.6 now, that current difference, I should say. So a little bit tight, but not as close for some compared to the others. Right now, you're taking a look at one of the few drivers not to set a time, Jose Santiago. And 0.19 looking to try and put himself on the board. Follestad, Hawken, Bachmeier, Donovan Strauss, and Pablo Espes, the current top 5.
Yeah, it's going to be a tight qualifying here. I think we're going to see a lot of guys really trying to pull out those hundredths, thousandths of a second at every single corner through this qualifying phase, just to try to get as close to the front as they can. The closer you are to the front, the better a chance you have to make it through turn 1, turn 2. Turn 3, not so bad. You get down to turn 5, where everything starts to accordion a little bit. That's when things start to get exciting on this on that first lap.
Taking a look now at one of the other drivers not yet to set a time. This is Cam Eben, currently on his first time around. Still has less than 6 minutes to put in 4 laps. Decent amount of time to do so. And when it comes to Cam, he's been close for the past 3 weeks. Each round, he's been a contender when it comes to battling for the wins, but hasn't been able to get the job done by the end of these events. So keep an eye on him. Once again, he was very quick in the practice races in preparation for this event as well. But one of the drivers who are new to this series, it's worth noting, is the 51. For those who follow along with eNASCAR competition, this is the man you need to watch. He could be one of the big young guns and stars in the future. The eNASCAR Contender iRacing Series driver, Donovan Strauss, represents Space Station Gaming in that side of the iRacing platform, running with his spotter JD Laird's colors. His main spotter is currently, in fact, with real world obligations, but trying to carry on that speed today with his MX-5 looking very quick in terms of his preparation.
Another point of interest was we watch Cam Eben running around here. He's really pushing it hard. He has not been able to get a lap down. Is that because he's pushing it a little bit beyond the edge? Is he trying to feel out the track and maybe start from pit lane? Not a bad strategy if he wants to do that, but he pulls out a 1:33.381. So not too shabby from our series host.
Yeah, very quick these past few months and weeks. Keep in mind, some of the drivers have been picking up speed the more laps they put in. For example, Brandon Hawken bumped up his time the second lap and just matched it with the third lap. So that pace will pick up by the middle portion of qualifying. Less than 4 minutes to go in the session. Only one driver is yet to even come out on the racetrack. Not expecting them to be able to put in enough times in. But we're falling back with Eben, who's looking to try and get back towards the front as he starts a lot up to the point.
Making this run up that back straight through our 2, I like to call them non-turns. It's going up the Andretti straight. However, there is turn 6 and turn 7 as you're going up to that massive sweeper at turn 8. So as he comes through here, as we watch on board, you can see coming up, holding it onto that left side, just a little bit of lift if the tires are cold, but I think he can probably go through even with the pedal mashed down. Now we get into some brakes, holding it down, getting the speed down, because now we got that tight right-hander up to the finish to try to see what we get here for a great lap time looking like. How's he going to do this one? Oh, really close, makes a 2:15, but he must have had an off on that one.
It did count though, 133.2, but that's only good enough for 11th. But keep an eye on this driver. He just so happened to win an Ivor competition for that MX-5 championship yesterday. He's one of the best drivers in this car on the entire surface. Can he get himself the pole? Needs about a couple 100s to catch up to Fullestad. It's a 132.842. Not enough. It's his quickest time, but he did not get to the top of the board.
Wow, 0.013. We're looking at basically the thickness of that front bumper. Not the entirety of the bumper, just the plastic of it. That is a tight finish there. As we switch over, watching Cam coming out, trying to head back up that long uphill straightaway one more time. Let's see what Cam can do here as he sets the car up to come into turn 8.
We'll see if he's going to be able to get himself another solid starting position. He's been one of those drivers who have started top 5 every single round essentially so far this campaign. He has been one of the favorites. Now it's the matter of, can he get himself a good time? This will likely be the last time he'll get to take here. Third time around. Coming up to the stripe, needs to bump up from 133.2. This time at the stripe, it's a 133 flat, third best.
Third place, that's a beautiful last run. Watching him go through that last little set of S's, coming through the final corner, Cam had the car just placed beautifully on that last little bit of the curbing on the outside as he ran up to the start-finish line. That really set that lap off for him.
So that should just about do it for just about everybody when it comes to times. No more time left in terms of completing this 4th lap. Same can be said for basically everybody else that's on the racetrack except for the 36th place car on the board, and Senkowski, who is also known for being very strong in the road courses, making a start today in the 39 car. Curious how he does. He's known more for sports cars in that regard.
Niels has been a pretty solid driver. Watching him run through the course here, a little bit too much curbing there, I think. I feel like you need a little bit less curbing when you run through that particular section, but there are some guys who find they can get that wheel up on that inside curbing and it kind of hugs the car around and sends it sliding around the corner a lot quicker.
Of note, that time you were keeping an eye on that curbing was enough to invalidate the lap, and in turn, qualifying is over. It's time to look at your butt kicker starting grid. Butt kicker products are silent subwoofers that deliver powerful bass through your couch or chair so you can feel the crashes, racing engines, and special effects in your movies and games. Butt kicker transducers are virtually indestructible and maintenance-free with thousands of units currently in service. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com. Up on the pole today, it's Frederick Fullestad. Keep an eye on that 78 machine. He'll be starting alongside the Canadian Brandon Hawken. Row 2 features Cam Eben and Jordan Bachmeyer. Both are looking to try and find themselves to victory lane. They're about 2/10 off the pole time. Donovan Strauss in his series debut will start in 5th position, with Pablo Espez in 6th. Jarrett Liebert, with his best start this season, starts in 7th, known for his eNASCAR setup abilities, with Daniel Bristow in 8th. Caleb Hines will start in 9th position, with Anthony Burrows rounding out your top 10 starting positions. Right on behind them in row 6, it's Nicholas Short and Kenny Brady, with Ryan Busk in 13th. Daniel Munoz starts in 14th, with Austin Johnson having a quiet season in 15th. Nico Arbilomi starts in 16th. JM Fernandez, makes a return back to series competition in 17th. He was a contender for victories last season, with Kenzia in 18th. Powell Samanik and Adams Jr. round out the top 20. The rest of the drivers scroll on your screen. Drivers to keep an eye on towards the back. Dave Chapman, a top 5 finisher last week. Justin Taylor also showing good speed. Also making his debut this season, Spencer Burns. Blaze Crawford and Senkowski start alongside each other. Sabalos Prem is only back in 40th. The last driver to take a time was Ryan Pandisio. But all the drivers are just about set to go from Canada. It's the 4th round of the season at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for the Big C's MX-5 Challenge. And it's time to buckle up and get ready to go. The sun is starting to set. The temperatures are cool. Will the drivers stay cool in the driver's seats? We're underway from Canada. And a great start for Fullestad. Single file into the first corner. The rest of the drivers finding 2 by 2 up through the corners. Of note, Jose Santiago did not go off the jump. He is now half a track or so, at least behind the rest of the competitors that they make their way through Clayton.
Tough run through turn 2. We got a couple guys trying to go too wide here as we get into turn 3, getting really tight. Good battles forming at the back here. Guys trying to move up, trying to get a little bit closer to the front. We're going to see how these packs kind of edge themselves out as we come up to turn number 5, Moss Corner.
Drivers are being warned to be able to break into these corners here from Moss Corner, one of the hard braking zones known for its attrition points. Everybody staying single file. A couple trying to dive bomb it, but no major contact through that section. Only one bit of contact. Seen Jose Gonzalez shuffle to the back. Everybody else has made it through that section cleanly.
Very good work from these guys on lap 1. That's your lap 1, turn 1 at this track, is that turn 5. Everything has to slow down so much for everybody to come around there. As we're looking close up here, coming into turn 8 for the end of our first lap, taking a peek here on Anthony Burrows, trying to make his way around this corner.
And Walter's been quick. He's been the fastest driver in the practices overall. Won the practice race before today, as well as tops on the final practice. He's in 10th currently. Now check that 9th to end off the first lap. So clean for the most part. A few drivers have lost the main pack, but everybody else is staying choo-choo trained along, including the 51 of Strauss.
Strauss doing a nice job. Frederick Fullestad still pulling out this lead. He's got about a quarter second. That's not worth much on this track, especially looking at where they are. This train is so tight, that is not going to help him when he tries to head up the straight, heading up to turn 8 at the end.
Coming out of Quebec corner right here. A bunch of drivers had also mentioned prior to today, Michael, that they were expecting it to be kind of this type of a train, at least early on, because in part the draft, but also just that difficulty to try and make moves, since the Mario Andretti straightaway is probably the best chance for many drivers to leapfrog today.
One of the nice things about the Andretti straightaway is it has 2 turns. So for a defensive point of view, although they are technically turns, it's really a straightaway. You still have an opportunity to make 2 moves. You can make 1 move. You can zig, but you can't zag. You can make 1 move per corner, and then you set yourself up for turn 8. We watched as we come in through here with Brandon Hawken on board with him. You've got over-under opportunities here. You've got about 2 to 3 different lines you can take coming into turn 8, but by the time you get to turn 10 right here, it's 1 line unless you're going to the pits.
Coming out through the front straightaway once more. Of note, a couple different things have popped up this past lap. Pendicio has been black flagged for that contact that sent around the 701 machine early on. That is Paul Boucous. He's now serving that penalty. Now, the other incident of note, George Fike was in the midst of the main pack after starting 24th, gained a few spots, and has now been shuffled back to 41st because of major contact in Moss Corner. So a couple major trouble points. A few other drivers have just had an incident coming out of Clayton Corner this lap in the battle for 27th. So a lot of tempers are flaring in the mid-pack, including in this.
Clayton Corner is one of those tough corners because as you come out of it, you're really pushing close up to the edge. And, going wide. Peeking his nose up underneath there, just turns him around. Ooh, that's unfortunate.
So trouble in that, Mark. Speaking of trouble, Dave Chapman, who finished top 5 last week at Sebring, he just went off track in the same corner as well, was in 22nd. So a lot of drivers are getting into trouble, and Sector 2 in particular, so far in the early stages. Compared that to the leaders, they're staying calm, except for a bit of that blocking going on for the battle for 8th.
Yeah, nice move, trying to protect his corner as he's going in there. He still wants to maintain that position. He's already got the run. He's going to hold it through here. So Bristow holding onto that P8 with a little bit of a peek out, not a problem. I don't see anything wrong with that. Probably exactly what I would have done in his shoes.
Coming coming up to 5 minutes into the action. Here is Daniel Bristow in particular. He showed some good speed throughout the season as he clips a bit of the grass right there. It's just been a matter of being in good spots for the end of the race to score good points.
Yeah, where he clipped the grass, there's one of those interesting spots that while it's the same as it is in real life, there's a little bit different reaction with the grass. So those of us like me who are used to driving this track in real life and on the sim, you have to handle that corner just a little bit differently. You cannot get that much of the dirt or grass on the exit of turn 1.
Yeah, I found it interesting, especially with the discussion for Clayton. I believe it's all concrete, you mentioned. All pavement, rather, now in that runoff area compared to the scan of the iRacing version.
Right. So this is a version of the track that existed years ago when they did the scan. However, now in turn 2, that is all concrete out there. And I've actually there's a beautiful video on YouTube if you want to look it up, taken from Henry Morse, who was behind me, where I did a full 360 on the out lap of qualifying. We had just come out of the pits and then whoop, zipped it right around, and I wished all my friends were in the grandstand right there.
Speaking of drivers trying to zip around, how about this battle going on with Jarrett Lieber trying to hold on for 8th now. Caleb Hyde, Anthony Burrows, Kenny Brady are in the midst of this hornet's nest. Lieber able to hold on, but they did lose them some time.
Caleb Hyde's making a really nice move on Anthony Burrows through there. That's a tough corner to make that pass on, but if you get a good run out of turn 9, you can make it as they go into Clayton Corner. Nice, holding that inside. We got a big train going by. That's going to be tough to make up, but we've got 33 minutes left in this race, and a pit stop. Don't forget that. We didn't mention earlier, but this is actually a fuel-limited race. Only 3.9 gallons. There's going to be a pit stop around 25 minutes or so as we take a ride on board, looking out the back of Frederick Follestad.
So right now, keep in mind that everyone behind him is able to save fuel, be able to lift and coast a little bit, if not bump draft a bit to try and save fuel. Follestad doesn't have that same opportunity quite yet. How do you see the strategy slicing up? Because at some of the tracks where you feel like you can get some clean open space out of the pits, we've seen the early pit stop call be the way to go. With the traffic at some of the shorter tracks, you end up seeing it trying to extend the run. Where do you see it playing out? As a bit of contact to the back of the lead group for a second.
Ooh, that's a tough call. I don't know if I'd want to go early here. What I think I would be looking for here is absolutely nailing the pit entry. You can take a little bit harder run out of turn 9 to get into the pit, run right up on your braking point to get the speed down just as you enter the coned area that delineates the pit. So if you can make that just perfect, you're going to take off that little bit of overall pit time, which I think is going to really make a difference for the person who gets it exactly right.
He was looked, by the way, at 13th. This is Ryan Bosk, who has been quietly holding on to that position and is now right behind Lieber. To get towards that point as well, it's all going to be about that timing too.
Yeah, the timing of the pit, it's tough to say at this track with everybody being relatively behaving themselves in a good mood, we should say, I guess. That they're holding on, they're biding their time, they're watching what's going on. I think where you pit or when you pit, as it were, is really not going to be as big of a point, because when you pop back out, you're just in another group. So we may see one of those instances where the guy who was in 20th place is leading for a while because he was able to save that fuel for so long. As we switch to Brandon Hawken, taking a look at Cam Ebbett in front of him, is he going to try to make a move here? I think he's going to try to stay back. I think he's happy where he is to let this little pack run.
That looks like everyone running contently for the time being, still about at least 5 minutes away from the estimated opening of the fuel mark. To make it towards the end of this respective race, the lead pack is still 18 cars deep. This is the biggest the lead pack has been by this point all season, mind you.
Yeah, having a lead pack like that here, not unusual, because as you mentioned earlier on in the introduction of this track really sets yourself up for, or sets all the cars up for a good drafting opportunity, and you just have to nail every single corner that you go through and have those beautiful exits. The cars behind you, they're going to want to sit there. It's not time to make a move. We want to wait to make that move and really push for the finish.
Keep in mind, we've seen in practice drivers who are experimenting. Could they go 3 wide? Can they go 6 wide in some cases down the Mario Andretti straightaway? That aggression level can push up. Speaking of drivers pushing up, Nicholas Short tried to do a push-up with his front nose you just seen in Moss.
Oh, that's a tough one. I've seen that happen in real life. That is never a good place to have something like that happen. Everybody wants to get up underneath here. They think they can make it, but just a little bit of a tap. It didn't take much. And there goes his nose with, just an insult to injury little tap as he finishes his spinning move through that.
He broke his left front tire as well. He is waddling down the track in live action. Here's the look for Fernandez. Boom. I think it hit the car in front more so, but he still picked up damage from it.
Yeah, tries to miss him. Nobody's going to try to hit you, but sometimes you have no control over what happens to the car, where it's going, and you have to take that crumble of the cookie as it runs.
Short has just had to also take a tow because his car was so badly damaged he could not turn the car through the S's. Here's the look back at Donovan Strauss, meanwhile, back at 7th position. And for someone that's more so known for his stock car racing ability, races a little bit of short track racing in real life, what do you think that experience plays into when someone says, okay, let's jump into an MX-5 today, and immediately runs top 10?
Well, the short track drivers have a really nice touch of their fingers on the wheel. They feel so much through the steering wheel that it plays very well, especially into simulator driving, because that's really where the majority of the feedback comes. So having that experience is doing wonders for him, as you see running in the top 10 here.
So far, -2 in the race. The biggest mover, I'm surprised to say this, is Spencer Burns, by the way. And Spencer Burns is known for some crazy stuff, let's put it that way. Here's the look at Spencer Burns, who, yes, that is a Tinder car with eyelashes on it, who's up to 22nd and is still getting bump drafts in the second pack.
Kind of appropriate for tender? Would we say that, I suppose?
Let's not touch upon that today, as here comes the send from Nico Arvilomi. Again, this is not points-paying positions, but it's still your biggest move of the race so far. No spots lost for driver still running Shane Sullivan, who is back on the wheel, mind you, -14. Towards the front, Cam Evan is running well. It's also worth noting that Spencer Burns just crashed down the front stretch in a hard incident. His car is done.
Oh, the end of the day is always tough. When you have a big crash like that, there's really no coming back from it. But as we watch Cam, he's just biding his time, and he and Hawken, as well as Follestad, are just trying to make their run as we take a look back here.
And you can tell by my emotions, I could see it happen eventually. Got loose, boom.
Ooh, tender car taken out of the race. Was enjoying the eyelashes, though, I gotta say.
Ray Colombo is also taken out in that incident in turn, so at least 2 drivers with significant damage, 1 with a tow. Spencer Burns is out. Pit window opens up in the next minute or so, so we'll see which drivers elect to blink next time by with their eyelashes, the ones not showing on the cars today.
Ooh, Cam's looking like he's going to make a move. I think this could be a move for Pitt. Hard to say, but he takes a commanding lead as he makes an alternate entry to 8. I don't think Follestad was quite expecting that. I think Follestad wanted him to go. Yep, I called it. There he goes, right into the pits. You get that hard run. There he goes, crashing in. Well, crashing, terrible term to use here, but really running up tight as we get a full pack of people dropping into the pits now.
It looks like the call today is go early, because Evan brought Strauss, Hides, Burrows, Kenny Brady, Ryan Busk, and many other drivers with them. A majority of the lead pack has elected to start the pit window with the stop rather than stretch it to the end of it.
Yeah, it looks like they're taking tires here too. Left side tires, not a bad choice, because when you need that traction coming through Moss, that's your left side. You've got it loaded up hard. Left side tires are the ones I would be wanting to change on this car, and you really only want to do to 2. You don't have time to do 4. As Cam Evan makes his way back out, coming into turn 2, how does he flow back in on this?
You know what? He had the exact same time in the lane than everyone else and had the same pit delta, but I think that entry was so strong, he picked up a bit of time over everybody else by 3 seconds.
Wow, quite a run on the pit. We were on board watching it. Oh, as we got some landscaping going on back here.
Oh, and that is Jared Liebert, who continues to try and put his statement into the race by saying, "Let's mow the grass today," as George Fike now checks up for him.
Ooh, that's a tough spot to do some lawn maintenance, because it's hard to not hit the wall there. Kudos on him for not hitting the wall, recovering the car, getting back into this race.
So back up towards the front. Meanwhile, no stop yet for a majority of the leaders. Powell Semanek, Austin Johnson, Fernandez, Munoz all coming in. So the top 5 electing to change it up strategy-wise compared to the rest of the pack.
Bristow taking a little bit of grass as he goes into turn 2. You know, I feel so much better having that not be grass out there. It gives my heart just a little bit of a jump every time we go on board and I see somebody go through turn 2 and that big field of grass that it feels like is out there.
So these drivers, for the most part, are staying single file. Compare that to the other grouping who have just pit, mind you. They're still scrapping like cats and dogs. They actually just swapped the main car to Anthony Burrows compared to Caleb Hydes, picked up another car in Powell Semanek, and it's going to be interesting how the time delta plays out with this being their first full lap up to speed. The thing with Semanek, by the way, is he was quietly towards the very back of this main pack before the pit stops. He made gain spots with how he played this strategy on the 71.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, getting in and out of the pits. You can make up just as much time there as you can with your pit crew, adding your fuel and changing your tires. It's really important. It's huge on the driver to make that dive into the pits as effective as possible and getting away from your pit lane onto the track again as quickly as you can. As we watch Fullerstad, Hawken, and Bachmeier really trying to stretch out here as much as they can. I was thinking it was time for a pit, but I think that group is staying for the long run here and going to go for that late fuel.
So those drivers all just ran in the 133 flats to 132 nines. Keep an eye on the stopwatch for the other ones coming on by.
Yeah, that's blazing. That's running some really fast times. 33 is a good time for this car around here running solo. And with Fullerstad up front trying to do everything he can to pull this group down along the way, he's got 133.1, I believe, was his last lap. So he's doing everything he can with, looks like Hawkins just in behind him. I think they may be trying to break away from Bachmeier and Espes just to try to get a little bit of a gain when they go to make their pit entry. Should be interesting to see how this one plays out.
Couple interesting notes with the first full up to speed laps for the drivers who have pit, by the way. Evan ended up matching their lap times. Caleb Hydes, Anthony Burrows and company, 133 flat to 133.2, some in the 4s in that group.
Yeah,
I'm really curious how this plays out delta-wise, because Evan currently, based on the natural deltas, would have a 4-second advantage, depending on how long the pit stop is for everyone else.
Yeah, that's tough. They came out and they were just guns blazing, being able to jump out on fresh tires. Looks like we have Fullerstad jumping into the pits now. Let's see. Oh, as he comes in, nice braking job coming into the pit lane, looking for his lollipop man so he can get some tires and fuel.
We'll pass by an air driver completing their service. That's Phil Hayden, who has been having a very quiet start to his time here. Fullerstad has made his box. Here's the main pack. Keep in mind, Evan is still nearly 4 seconds up the road now from all these drivers at this rate. Where will Fullerstad now cycle about? Fullerstad is currently trying to get out of the box. Fullerstad ended up having a 20-second pit stop, so he will not be in range of Evan. He will be in the midst of this pack, though.
Oh, that's tough, but he's coming in just into the middle of this pack, going to try to zipper his way into this grouping. Nicely set up, gets over to the inside of turn 2. Oh, looks like a little bit of a butt. Oh, but hey, looks like everybody came out of that alive. Could have been a lot worse than that.
That is Ryan Busk, who ends up making contact. Here is the scissor and the zipper merge. The zipper jams for a second, and the 7 car able to hold on for now.
I think he's still close enough to take advantage of a little bit of draft. He can catch back up to where Fallerstadt is. I don't think that's going to be too much of a damper on his day.
Here's a look now at that main pack once more. And our driver's peeling in. That's Jordan Bachmeier, who's now coming in the 15 machine, also going guns blazing into the pit lane. So that leaves 3 standing from the main pack, who have yet to pit. Hawken, Espes, and Bristow continue to extend it. They can go in our 4 minutes or so.
Hawken trying to open up gap a little bit here on Espes, but it's still 0.3 of a second, between 3 and 4/10 of a second. That's going to be tough. Taking a look back now at Cam Evan, with Anthony Burrows chasing him at over 4 seconds behind. Cam is making some hay while the sun shines.
Well, the sun is almost completely set at this point, and the lights essentially are starting to turn on the car, so, well, it's going to be hard for the hay to start shining through the sun, especially with the main pack still trying to find any way to close on up. They continue to pick up more cars who have completed stops, but here's the main thing. Bachmeier, he's within the draft of Evan's car, not this group's.
Ooh, that's an interesting little setup we've got going here. How's this going to play out? Looking at where everybody's trying to find their path, find their play. Oh, this is going to be tight. So as we come on board with Jordan Bachmeier right now, coming up into Moss, flings the car in, hopes those new left side tires hold on, and then massively on the throttle. A little bit of overrun from the car in front, but he's close enough right now that he's getting an advantage of some draft as they work their way up the Andretti straight.
Being told there was a better delta and pit stop time, part because of a couple seconds lower in fuel for the 15. Brandon Hawken has now just ducked in, leaving Espes and Bristow on their lonesome. So now it's the question, where does the Canadian now fare out? Brandon Hawken from Lindsay, Ontario, in for his service from Ivano.
So it looks like he's going to take some left side tires as well as his fuel. Don't think he's going to take some right side tires, but we'll see what happens as this plays through. Right now, taking a look at Paulo Espes and Daniel Bristow, now trying to really open up this gap. They're getting close to needing to make a pit stop, but as we've seen before, these guys can really save some fuel. And given where they were back in the pack, as they head up into Moss Corner now, trying to rotate that car around and get a good run up the back straight. Nice use of the track, beautifully done. They're really trying to open up, because if you look behind them, you've got Kedzia about 13 seconds back.
Plenty of room to breathe for now. Compare that to Evan, not as much as for the past 5 laps or so. Of note, Brandon Hawken is now the lead car of the second pack. That is still 4 seconds behind. So now it's all down to seeing which drivers can cycle to this pack, as well as how many can make it on fuel is the big key, with Espes and Bristow heading towards light fuel range. Both of them expected to come on down and do near contact in the pit lane. Bristow ducks right.
Oh, that's a really hard rush into the pit lane. You never know what the cars in front of you is going to do, so you really have to be careful, especially if you have been practicing your exact point for braking coming into there, and the guy in front of you maybe has not had quite as much practice or may not have the confidence on his brake pedal. Let's take a look back here at Cam Evan, running in 8th place as he pops over those curves, doing the best he can with Bachmeier right behind him. Looking up into turn 1, we've got a little bit of a mini pack going on here. Is Bachmeier going to hold on as we head onto the outside, looking into getting into turn 2, make a beautiful sweep around there, getting into the third corner. Oh, a little bit sideways, looking ahead. Oh, this is really getting exciting here with these guys.
Very exciting for that net race lead. Espes did not cycle with anybody. Bristow cycled in front of Hawken. So it's now just these two who are expected to battle for the net race lead. Only 4 drivers are yet to complete their service on the racetrack, and Gsrc, Clark, Senkowski, and Martin currently. So currently, the number 2 leads his first laps in this series, currently running in the 134s, expecting those drivers to come in this time, coming up to an estimated 10 to go, already past halfway, 15 minutes on the clock.
It's always nice to say you led some laps. Even if it was due to some pit rotation, you're still out there. You're still the first car to cross the start-finish line as the lap is completed. So I'm sure he's going to try to enjoy this for at least a lap or 2.
So those drivers are coming in, expecting this to cycle now to the overall lead. Bachmeier has been bump drafting now. Interestingly enough, it looks like those drivers did just extend an additional lap on top of things. We'll see where those competitors cycle about in terms of the packs, but the difference is still a good 2 seconds to the rest of the grouping as Clark is the leader.
And if you look back at last week, you may remember at the track we were looking at James Clark, who ran several laps beyond what everyone else was able to do. I believe it was Espez was like the master of it. Espez went into the pits, and Clark was still out there, just turning laps at Sebring.
He's known for really trying to mix up the strategy cards. But here's the thing, the speed is picked up in that second pack. Part of the reason why it's closing up so quickly. 132.7s for the grouping 7th on back currently. The other drivers up front, they're running the 133.2s and 3 still. So that pace is dropping for the leaders and changing for the leaders, should say.
I think Cam and Jordan may be talking. We got a little bit of a bump draft going on here. They're trying to get that gap down. They realize their times are a little bit off. I know they're probably running one of those software programs that tells them, hey, so-and-so is running this fast, so-and-so is running this fast. So they're trying to make up their speed. They're trying to work together to try to see if they can make this battle happen at the finish.
Do you think they have enough fuel, maybe, if that's coming into equation too?
Fuel could be an interesting play here. Both of these guys did pit early, but Cam and Bachmeier, they're both good drivers, and they've been at the front of the pack quite a lot this season. I expect they're going to try to stay up there, but when we get to the end of the race, watch for that lifting coast. Watch for that clutching as they go into some of these corners like Moss.
Here's a look, meanwhile, at the second pack. They are only now a couple seconds away. They are right behind the draft of Pablo Espez. Brandon Hawkins still staying line astern behind Daniel Bristow. Will that stay stationary? No. Bristow indicates over the radio he wants Hawkins to go.
Yeah, a little let's play together here. You got a good run. I'll take the pass back when we get on. We've got 12 minutes, just over 12 minutes left in this race. There's time to work together to catch the other group. They don't want to be alone. They want to get back up there where Cam is and keep Cam back in, I believe it was 3rd place in the overall, 4th place in the overall, something like that.
4th in the points with the drops factored in entering today. He's been close for victories each round this season. Here's the look from Espez. He is now full on in the draft of the other drivers. And now it's a 3-car group at the main front grouping portions. James Clark continuing to chug along until right now. Clark is now in. This is now for the overall race lead. The 55 passes on by now.
Cam Evan, glad to be in the lead now with Jordan Bachmeier and Pablo Espez behind him. This little mini pack, Pablo has done a beautiful job catching up here. I think Pablo's feeling a little bit hungry at this point. He is going to want to get closer to the front of this. He realizes with 11 minutes, we are getting close to the finish. It's time to take this pack and make it work to his advantage.
Exactly. Evan's been playing this out very well, but I'm curious how Hawkins and company play this out, especially since some of them are starting to separate out a little bit. Here's the separations between 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Only a couple tenths expected between 2nd and 3rd, but 4th is only about a couple seconds behind and closing to the point where they're almost within the draft. 1.9 seconds to be precise. Espez now in the back door, the top 2.
If you look at the last time of Espes there, he's just a touch faster than Cam Eben was going. The draft is a little bit of that, but I expect we might see a move going up into turn 8. It'll be interesting to see how Bachmeier decides to defend this. Looks like Espes going a little bit left. He's going to look to the left side going up into turn 8. Is he going to make the long way around, getting around? Oh, he's made it. He got around Cam Eben. Pablo Espes making a beautiful move for first place.
Passed by them like he was standing still. Eben and company did have a bit of a lift, but it's still Espes who's able to make the pass. 7 estimated laps to go. They'll start lap 20 now with Espes the leader.
Espes in the place he likes to be. He really wants to lead this pack. He wants to be up front. He knows he's got the speed. That last lap, he was burning it up at a 132.5. That's one of the quickest laps we've seen this late in the race.
Of note, JM Fernandez has just crashed and brought several drivers with them in what is the third pack. Several drivers just had to get repairs. Fernandez won the Daytona road course race last season. This is what happened.
Oh, looks like going a little bit too hard into the corner. Gets turned around as he wants to come back over. I think he just wasn't listening or didn't have any information from his spotter, his crew chief, to know exactly what was going on. But hey, if you're going to crash somewhere, pit entry is the place to do it. Whip the car around and run into the pits, get that repair.
Of note, technical issues are starting to hamper Cam Eben. This is not good for his situation. Apparently he is still there, but he's lost in several different ways this season. Being in position majority of the race to only lose in the final laps. Dominating a race only to lose in the final laps. Getting involved in crashes at the end of 2 races. This is not how you want to lose one today.
Oh, this is just a heartbreaking moment for Cam Eben. Let's hope his internet connection comes back and he's able to stay in there. And it's got to also be hard for Bachmeier. Bachmeier behind him is relying on that draft. When that draft suddenly moves up to Espes, Espes is a half a second up. You're only looking at a quarter second to Eben. He wants that closer draft to give him that speed going up the hill, help him save a little bit of fuel. As we look at the back of Espes' car now, it looks like Eben's car is internet connected. Oh, just as I say it, there he goes, blinking again.
Don't jinx it yet. Don't jinx it. The top 5, by the way, is now the grouping. Everyone else, they've lost a little bit of time because guess which swapped on by a couple laps ago? Burrows and company. So Hawken and Bristow are now up in this grouping too. Burrows is now nearly 3 seconds behind. Check that too.
Hawken and Bristow both running in the 32.4 range. They're really cooking. And last time around, Espes was only able to make a 133.4. So these guys are closing up very quickly, trying to get in there for that last couple of laps and make this another insanely exciting finish.
Coming up to 5 estimated laps to go. See how many we get in total, but look at this. Here come the moves. How about 3 wide for the battle for third? A big splice send from Bristow. A big lunge up to third, right to the back bumper of Eben.
Oh, brave move going in there. But like I mentioned early on, in turn 8, you have 2, maybe 3 really solid lines, all good opportunities for going into there, depending on what you're trying to accomplish as we cross start finish for yet another lap, getting closer to the finale.
Here's the thing to consider. The estimated lap total referred to, it's shifting the more they fight. It could be anywhere from 5 to 6 laps currently because of how hard they're fighting. That's how tight it could be on the clock to when we get the white flag. Bristow, think about second, backs off.
Bristow was really flying through there. Bristow made a 32.6 last time around. I think he's feeling these guys are running a little bit too slow. He and Hawken have been really making some burning laps as we come through turn 4, getting ready to come up to Moss and make our run up back up the Andretti straight.
Here's something to consider though, Michael. You get an extra lap compared to what some of these drivers may have been expecting. We're talking for the case of Eben in particular, as well as Burrows and company, having to go the longest they've had to go the entire race, 17 laps. Only a couple drivers were able to do that in the whole field during the pit stop window. Speaking of the battle for the race lead, though, here comes Hawken. Driving his way to the left side, Espes with the block. The Assyrian racing car holds on to the lead, Hawken up to second.
Nice move from Hawken. Just a mirror image of what, not mirror image, an identical move to what we saw on the last lap. Really nice positioning coming up through here. He may be trying to push a little bit on Espes. I don't think he wants to wait. Let's watch what happens as he goes through turn 1 here. Gets a nice hug up on the inside. Yeah, just touching it. Nice exit here right to the outside. Beautiful positioning. Looking off from Bachmeier here. Bachmeier's looking, just playing a little bit on that inside. Can I get inside where Eben is? Nope. But we see in P3, Bristow running a little wide going through turn 2. Is he having tire problems?
I have to see, he started to really struggle, nearly pushed up the track coming out of Quebec Corner this time. He loses some time. Does it open up the door for Eben to push? No, Eben elects to stay single file for Moss. All while they're bump draft for first and second.
Bristow may be feigning some injury here. He's got a really nice run through Moss right now. This is the place you have to be good. You must get a brilliant launch out of Moss. As Eben takes a little look to the left, decides to give Pablo a bump draft going up the hill. They've got to stay ahead of... actually, sorry, that was Hawken. I said that was Eben. That was Hawken making the run, trying to push away from Bristow and Eben. Look at the left side. Oh, blocking off that left side. Nicely set up. Oh, we're going to get around here. This is that over-under that I love to teach at this track. Nice setup coming through the corner. Can he make it back and get the other way? Oh, it's so tight. This is some amazing racing once again from this pack.
Coming up to under 4 minutes now on the clock. Estimated total currently is 3 laps. Keep an eye on Barney the next couple to see which one is the last lap here. We're now in the 24th circuit here from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. The other cars are almost there. They are 1 second back of Bachmeier.
Bristow, Espes, and Hawken doing the best they can to stay ahead. Bristow and Espes wanting to really pull away at this point. Let's take a look here from Anthony Burrows setting himself up. Oh, trying to get into that pack. He's just a little bit off. He's got a tiny little gap, 1.5 seconds. Still enough that with the accordion effect going into Moss, he should be able to catch up to these guys.
Especially with the differences in braking right here. That closes him back up in the interval. Burrows has been charging this corner hard. He is right there within 3 car lengths from the brakes. He's brought everyone else with him. Now, who makes the move this time? Down the Mario Andretti straightaway. Espes elects to bump. Now he goes to the left for the race lead.
Oh, going too wide up the Mario Andretti straight. We're going to have, looks like Hawken coming in, trying to follow through. The outside seems to be the favorite point for these guys. Oh, are we going to go 3 wide? He was thinking about putting his nose in there. I think 3 wide is a little bit on the optimistic side, though.
Looking like 2 laps to go this time by. Espes back now to second. Bristow holds on to the point still. Coming out of White's corner. And keep in mind, when it comes to the NASCAR stock car races here, that corner has been a thrilling exit of the races with how things have played with the final lap. That could also be a spot things could heat up here to finish out.
Not being able to have any control over your setup here. These guys have a fixed setup. I like to set up the car personally to be able to hit that inside on turn 10 to have that little extra space in case I need it. I don't always want to hit it. You don't want to destroy your car, but sometimes you want to have the ability to hit those curves a little bit harder. They do not have that option because of the fixed setup.
We'll have to keep an eye on if that factors in for what moves take place over the next 90 seconds. Expecting the wait this time by. Everyone staying single file for now. Here they go for the Mario Andretti straightaway. 13 cars is the main pack size. All the way back to Jarrett Liebert, who will come away with the victory. A minute to go on the clock. No moves yet for the lead.
Looking back, we see 3.5 seconds. With as many cars as that is, this is still tight racing. Look how close these guys are. Everybody is just 1 to 2 car lengths off of each other, or in some cases, even less. As we go into turn 8, one last time before the white flag. I think we're going to get the white flag this time by start-finish.
Keep an eye on Barney. 40 seconds now on the clock. There's the white flag. Final lap for Mosport. Bristow uses the grass. Everyone slides to the grass. Here comes Espes with the run. No move yet. He stays single file for the final lap start.
Espes feeling hungry. He sees his prey in front of him. Bristow running a little bit wide out into the savannah. It's going to be interesting to watch what happens here. I think we may be watching for a move as it opens up just a little bit. Time to get down into Moss Corner. Who gets out of Moss Corner the best? Can they hold that gap? Can they hold it going into turn 8? That's been the favorite place to pass this week. Oh, I don't know what's going to happen here. This is another insanely exciting finish from Big C's.
Espes with a good run. Here's the onboard you just seen with Evan, falling on back and forth. Now, everyone hard into the corner, through Moss. Near contact for the race lead, a big checkup from Espes. Will that hurt his chance to battle for this race win? Hopkin takes a peek to the right already. No one else ducking out yet.
Got Bristow making probably a pretty smart move. Backing off just a half a mile per hour. Does that cause Pablo Espes behind him to have to think twice? But we've got a good run with Brandon Hawkin taking a look to the left side. He's got an overlap. Oh, here we come into turn 8 for the final run up to the finish.
Side by side for second. Bristow tries to block the lanes. They bump hard for second. Off through the exit of the S's to White's corner one final time. Bristow holds on. No contact from behind. Espes pushes Hawkin wide. Checker flag. Daniel Bristow is a winner in the Big C's MX-5 Challenge.
Wow, what a finish. And a nice little spin at the end there from Bristow to celebrate this victory.
What a way to play the lines. What a way to hold on to the race win by 0.2 of a second. Let's take a look at this final corner.
Oh, nice setup. And you've got Hawkin really trying to make his run through here too. You've got 3 cars, all want to make it to the finish. And wow, quite the run. The gap between second and third, even still pretty tight, under 1/10 of a second.
Absolutely huge for him. The last points paying position of note went to Thomas Schmidt, who went from 25th to 15th. Post-race coverage coming up in just a few moments. You're watching Gsrc from Canada.
Ooh, that dirt's not going to help him as we got Espes, who has been saving fuel. Does he have enough to finish this lap going all out? Taking a look down the inside as he gets covered up. Oh, we're going to go 3 wide into the hairpin.
3 wide. Hawkin makes it stick on the right side. Better run for Williams on the left. Espes chooses the left as well. Hawkin now stuck side by side as Espes goes for a 3 wide move. Heading towards Cunningham. Espes bullies his way back up to the point. Williams with the preferred line. Hawkin makes it 3 wide again. Hawkin and Williams late break. Side by side still.
Tolanen's got one of the best runs we've seen from him yet, and this could be the overtake he's been looking for. He pulls up on him, staying to the inside. Partanen stays down low as they come towards the braking into 1 and 2. A little bit of a back off from Tolanen, even though he's good on the binders. Oh, but he shakes him off the racing line and pulls the over-under, and he gets past Partanen.
Gonna poke his nose to the inside, going down into turn 10. That sweeping right-hander. Oh, contact! Newhook gets the worst of it.
He tries to whoa it up. Can he? He does keep it on course, amazingly. I thought he was going to have to cut the chicane, but now look at all of them swamping side to side as there's a little bit of a brush into the right front fender of Newhook's car. Now a little bit of banging between himself and Cowgill, trying to hold on to it. They are getting rough out there. We still have 28 minutes to go.
Joe, that was almost 4 wide coming down into turn 1. I don't know if I've ever seen that much aggression here out of these MX-5s.
Under braking, who is the bravest here? More lap traffic in front of him. It looks like Reynolds goes a little bit deeper, but is it too deep? No, he gets ahead. Thomas O'Leary cannot hold him back. Blake Reynolds is back up to the point, fighting back now. It's going to come down through the stadium medium section. And the inside with Thomas O'Leary, the shorter line, and a spin from Blake Reynolds gives it up. Get one more good shot here, but passing into Rents. I don't know about that. Side by side in the last corners will be sketchy. Lap traffic staying out of the way. Hammer defends to the inside. Burns around the long way. And he's going to have to take to the runoff because there's a little bit of nudge between them. Comes back to the racetrack, but he's behind as Hammer exits the final corner. Hammer is going to take the win here at Austria.
Welcome back to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. For post-race coverage for the Big C's MX-5 Challenge, it's the -273 post-race show. Whether it's on the real track or the virtual track, -273 has one goal in mind: to produce the best racing gloves to get the job done. With unmatched comfort, durability, and style, their gloves will leave your old ones in the dust. Find out how they can help you by visiting -273.biz. It was a wild finish again, but Daniel Bristow played the final lap perfectly to hold off the swarm to win his first race of the season. 4 winners, 4 rounds. Pablo Espes finishes in second with Brandon Hawken in third. Cam Eben finishes in fourth, his best finish in the past couple rounds after attrition. Jordan Bachmeier finishes in fifth with Anthony Burrows in sixth. Kenny Brady, Caleb Hines, Lama Donovan Strauss in his debut in ninth. And Frederick Fullestad made it on fuel this time, finished in 10th.
Picking up in 11th, we have Jared Liebert, followed by Pavel Semanek, Ryan Busk, Daniel Ariel Munoz, Thomas Schmidt, Michael Bumgarner, Bartolome Kedzia, Otis Adams Jr., Tyler Gray, and the fuel sipper himself, James C. Clark.
A good finish for Clark as Nico Armilomi finished behind him 3 seconds back. Blaze Crawford survived this one after attrition last time out to finish 22nd. Neil Senkowski finished very quietly in 23rd. Lee Martin Sampson finished alongside winner 23rd, 4th, 25th, separated by 3/10. George Fike after attrition finished 26th. J.M. Fernandez 27th after a big crash. Shane Sullivan welcomed his wheel with a 28th place finish. Jose Gonzalez recovered from an early crash to finish 29th. The last driver in the lead lap was Sabalix Prim in 30th.
Tough race for Rui Coimbra, coming in 1 lap down in 31st, followed by Ryan Pandicio, Dave Chapman, Austin Johnson, Sam Smith, Justin, I am gonna butcher the name, Adakonis. Sorry, send me a message, tell me how to say it the right way. Followed by Justin Taylor, Philip Hayden, Spencer Burns, and Nicholas Short, bringing out 40th.
3 drivers attempted to start today. Jackson Menchu finished 20 laps down at the Heat 55. Paul Bucus, after his incident, finished 42nd. Jose Santiago, who was the driver hit by the 701, finished last, the first DNF of the night. So that's a look top to bottom at your running order tonight from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. But it's Daniel Bristow who welcomes himself to victory lane for the Big C's MX-5 Challenge. 4 races, 4 victors. Daniel, you joined that list. Welcome to victory lane.
Yeah, I'm ecstatic about this result, you know. Never thought I'd be here, especially not Canadian Tire. I wasn't really strong here in the qualify, but it paid off in the end after the pit stop.
Talk us through that final lap, because it looked like for a few laps prior, when you were in the midst of the pack, you were struggling on some of the apexes, especially Quebec Corner, and then you charged to the front, and then it was the crazy finish. Describe your approach for that final lap.
Well, it's tricky to say because you got all these guys at the back of you, and they're going to catch up fast. If I made a mistake, which I did, it maybe counteract something. But yeah, it worked. Yeah, but it worked.
Of course, this big victory, big for you. The next one's at Lime Rock. How do you look to try and bring that momentum forward from tonight to such a quick road course the next time out?
I don't know. I mean, I'm quite good on short circuits. It's the long ones I get a bit iffy on them, like today.
Anyone you want to thank for the run tonight?
All of you guys. Yeah, you do a brilliant job.
Thank you and congratulations for the run.
Thank you.
Daniel Bristow, first-time winner this season, comes away with the checkered flag. Brandon Hawken finished in third place after a side-by-side in the final corners with Espes. He's with Michael Johnson.
Brandon, congratulations on a beautifully fought finish, final lap, running up to the end there. So watching you work your way up after the pit stop, you guys were running some beautiful laps right in those high 32s, closing up the gap. Was that kind of to plan? Did you think you were going to close up that gap? Because when Cam Eben had gone into his pit rotation, he had a gigantic gap of about 4 seconds. How did that play about in your head?
Well, yeah, I think coming out of the pits, I either thought I took a little bit too much gas, or Cam and I think Pablo took not enough, and so I was thinking, like, if they don't have enough, I'll be able to get them anyway. But if they do have enough, I better get going. So Daniel worked really well with me there. He was a really big help bump drafting, and we were able to put in the laps and able to catch back up to that lead group. But I think for the two of us, I think we both took a little bit too much gas. So that's why we fell back a bit. But we were able to use some teamwork and get back up to the lead group. And from there, it was just about I don't think any of us really wanted to be in the lead coming down the back straightaway, but it just came down to there was just a little bit extra space between first and second, and we weren't quite able to get the run to make. I don't know. I was thinking maybe make it 3 wide on the outside, or whatever opportunity came to me there. But I couldn't quite get it done. But that was a great drive by Pablo, Daniel, Cam, Jordan, everybody. That was some really good stuff.
So you put on a little bit of, let's call it a masterclass, because, stroke the ego, race car driver, you got to do that, right? So a little bit of a masterclass you had going on there on the outside of turn 8. Now, I've done this in real life. I've done it in the sim. It is equally heart-stopping for me. Now, have you driven this track in real life and done turn 8 on that outside pass? And how did it feel trying to make that pass stick in the sim?
I have been fortunate enough to drive Mosport in real life. I was able to do that last year, and I of course haven't been able to. I haven't been in actual race situations, but I have done a lot of outside moves going into turn 8 on iRacing, so I kind of knew what to expect. You kind of have to pinch the guy on the bottom a bit, and I trust Pablo. He's a really good driver, and he was able to keep it on the bottom, and we banged doors there a little bit, but that's just racing. It was I thought because I couldn't get to the inside of Daniel because he was covering it off really well, and once I got the run on Pablo on the back straightaway, there was really nowhere to go. So, but the outside. So I thought, like, if I've done it before, it might see if it works, and it almost worked, but not quite. Didn't quite get second there. But I thought I have to try something because we were a little bit too far back from Daniel, but we did have a really big run coming up to the corner. So I thought I'd hold Pablo to the inside, and then try and get by Pablo at least. But if I was able to get next to Daniel before the corner, I definitely would have tried to keep it on the outside of him as well. But I just couldn't quite get there. But it's a lot of fun going around the outside. It's especially when it works. It couldn't quite get it working, but I tried. So that's all I could do.
I can attest. It's a lot of fun. Of course, you need the AED to get your heart restarted as you come around there, but it's a blast going on the outside there. Now, you mentioned that you kind of had to work together, a little frenemy situation with Pablo, especially that last time through. How much did you work with the other drivers to try to get yourself back up to this front pack?
Yeah, I think I came out of the pits behind Daniel, and he was on fresher tires than I was, so his were still getting up to temperature. So yeah, he was a little bit slower there for a couple laps, so he pulled over and he let me by, which is really nice. And yeah, so I was just trying to run qualifying laps every single lap while he was getting the draft and bumping me down the long straightaway. And yeah, it worked out pretty well. There was a slight moment. I think they went 3 wide or something in the lead group, and that really brought us back up too. So yeah, a combination of that and a little bit of dicing back and forth up front, and yeah, we were able to get back up front there. So that's the thing about MX-5s. Like if you're close, you can get back there with just like a single move. So yeah, we did a really great job, Daniel and I, to get back up there, and then after that, it was pretty much every man for himself. Yeah, like we didn't really. I don't know. There's a couple times where like I go with somebody and go with somebody else, and just kind of see how things would play out, and try to get some stuff in the back of my mind for the last lap. See if I could learn anything to make a move there. But yeah, really great driving from everybody, and man, it was a really clean finish. We had a practice race earlier, and we all crashed in the last quarter. So yeah, I'm glad that one worked out, and yeah, that was just a really good time.
I didn't want a replay of the last couple of weeks. That can be heartbreaking too. So anybody you'd like to thank particularly for this third place podium finish?
Yeah, just like to thank you guys at GSRC for the awesome broadcast every week. Cam and Lucas for all they do for the series, and everybody racing today. That was a really good time. It's going to be a really good championship battle, I feel. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the coming weeks, and just like to thank all my teammates at SRC Movano Corsa, and yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Looking forward to it.
As are we. Thank you, Brandon, for yet another exciting race. Justin has Cam Eben in his sights to have a little talk with him.
Yes, indeed, a 4th place finish today, Cam. But the main thing was when you came to the pits originally, it was a 4-second difference between you and everybody else. Then after the stops, you and along with Jordan Bachmeier really backed it on down. What happened there?
Yeah, just a little bit of an underfuel there. My stop was a little bit too short, didn't take enough gas. I was hoping I could maybe stretch it, but I saw an opportunity once the pack started to catch us to drop out of the lead a little bit and just save and hope that I could be in the fight at the end. Unfortunately, nothing really happened where I could make any moves and had to settle for 4th, but yeah, I just didn't quite take enough gas and paid the price, I guess.
Now, the main thing we've talked about, too, is you've been close several times where you've been in position to come away with a race win, but either have been involved in incidents in the final corners or passed in the final couple laps. What's it like mentally knowing that you've been so close to getting a win in a series that you're such a big part of, but haven't been able to cross the checkered flag mark to get it yet?
I mean, it's a little unfortunate, but I'm glad that I've been able to, be up in this pack and fight for these wins, which is definitely an accomplishment in itself, I feel like. But yeah, I guess it just hasn't been meant to be. And like you said, some incidents along the way, but eventually maybe it'll happen. But I'm just happy that I'm able to fight for these positions and even contest for the wins. So that's a start.
So let me ask this. How do you feel about your chances at Lime Rock, and why?
I'm pretty strong at Lime Rock. We're not doing any of the chicanes, so it'll be lots of close racing, and the field will be super competitive. So just going to need to qualify well, I believe, and just maintain my spot, and we'll see what happens. But I'm looking forward to it. I enjoy that track.
It's going to be intriguing how things play out, especially with how things are with the championship. Currently can tell you 16 points back from the tie for the point lead between 3 drivers. Anyone you want to thank for your run tonight?
First and foremost, just Delta Sport, my team, for helping me along the way. All the sponsors, including -273, SH8 Shifter, and Butt Kicker, for supporting the series. You guys at GSRC for the great broadcasts. And like I say every week, all the great drivers that come week in, week out, and just put on a great show, because none of this would be possible without participants. So just happy to have everybody on board.
Congrats on the run tonight. We'll see how you do at Lime Rock.
Thank you.
Cam Eben rounds out Our post-race interviews here in the Minus 273 post-race show. I'd like to thank him, Brandon Hawken, and Daniel Bristow for taking the time to speak with us here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. But I want to turn to you, Michael, and ask your opinion now on how this has fared out this season. We're approaching halfway next race at Lime Rock. There have been very close finishes, very hectic finishes. And as referred to a little bit, here is the current point situation with the drops. Aspes, Hawken, and Williams are tied still, with the drops factored in the points lead with 53 for now.
Well, it's going to be an interesting run. First of all, I'm really happy to see a finish with less carnage. Those last lap bumpy argy-bargy things, that's really tough and incredibly heartbreaking for those involved in them, especially Cam. He's been in some great positions to finish this race these races on the podium, and just because of a couple of little didn't quite work out things, he gets pushed back to 4th, 5th, 6th place. This race was really well behaved most of the way through. There's always going to be something that happens. This is Mosport. Every time any group shows up here, something's going to happen. And finding these guys that are really finding their footing, finding how to race each other. I think they're doing a great job of feeling each other out. We heard a lot of that in the interview with Hawken. He understood how Pablo was going to play underneath him as he went into turn 8. So these guys are really starting to feel each other out, and the rest of the season, I think we're going to see a lot more tight racing just like we saw today. It's going to be incredibly close finishes. We're going to have the top 5, 6, 7 cars under 1.5 seconds as the season rolls on.
And to emphasize how accurate that is today, 1.1 seconds, the difference between 1st and 8th at the stripe. We'd like to thank you for tuning in to tonight's action from Canada. We'd also like to thank our sponsors, SHH Shifter, Butt Kicker, and Minus 273, along with, of course, Big C's. We'd also like to take the time to thank the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed on screen. Additional thanks go to Jude Lawn, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of our great work. Thanks to the team today, and Michael, Ryan, and Dougie. You can find out more info about Gsrc at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media listed on screen. Be sure to check out the merchandise store as well at simracingmerch.com/GSRC, as we'll keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so you don't miss a moment here on Gsrc. Next time out, we head to Lime Rock. The very quick road course has been known for some throwers in the past, and on December 5th, the drivers will be challenged to see how they fare by the end of the night and how they look to try and close out the first half of the season strong. Cover starts 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on your screen. Be sure to check those out and mark them down to your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.